8 cores, 8 M.2 NVMe SSDs, all under the hood of this tiny NAS. This is the Terramaster F8 SSD Plus, and it is loaded. So I'm going to go through the specs on this, and then we're going to hop in and take a look at the software and just talk about what you can do with this. There's a couple of key things here. So I think if you're looking at this, you're someone who already needs an M.2 NAS. So you have your use case, whether it's running a little web server, home server, file server, whatever it is, you're doing editing or editing videos and stuff. You know you need a lot of speed, so you're looking at this. I love how small this is. So let's go through the specs, and then I'm going to talk about installing some M.2. Thanks to Whokeys for sponsoring this video. Now these are OEM Windows keys. That means that you do your own tech support. You're not going to be relying on Microsoft, and they're generally locked to the hardware. We got a coupon code. Click on buy now. Put in coupon code TS25, hit apply, and that price comes down. Now when you compare that to the outrageous prices from Microsoft, you'd have to buy this many times to equal the price of one regular key from Microsoft. As of right now, this Windows 10 Pro key will unlock Windows 11. We also have Windows 10 Home, Windows 11, you can buy it directly, Windows 11 Home, and we have 2 flavors of Office. Once you're finished, all you have to do is click on your user account up here, go to your user center, click on My Purchase Orders, just view keys and codes, then you can just copy and paste your key, hit start, type activate, click on activation settings, paste it in there, click on next, and you will be activated. So head on over to Whokeys.com to get yourself an OEM Windows key at a price that makes sense. So now when it comes to M.2, it is important to get like an enterprise grade solution here. So I've got WD Red drives. These are SN700 NVMe SSDs. I got 250 gigabytes, so we're just loading it up with all of those, and then we'll get some redundancy on all those. You can get them in several different configurations, up to 4 terabytes, depending on whatever you need. But I'm just going to be testing out those. The 250 gigabyte per second drives have 3,100 megabytes per second on the read and 1,600 on the write. Random 4K IOPS 220,000, and the write IOPS is 180,000. The endurance on these is expected to be 500 terabytes written. Let's say you're writing like 100 gigabytes a day, which is excessive. That's like, what, 7-8 years? I don't know, maybe, 7 or 8 years at least, maybe more. So yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot to really use those up. Now these are designed to operate all the time. They're designed for operating temperatures of up to 70 degrees Celsius. Now Terramaster has included a whole bunch of heat sinks, and we'll put those on each one of these things so that they'll stay nice and cool. The warranty is 5 years. If you get the 4 terabyte model, those are designed for 5,100 terabytes written. That's pretty ridiculous. Plus you got that 5-year warranty. You know, if you're getting a NAS and you're doing like home office or anything important, working on creative stuff, it is vitally important that you don't fool around with consumer grade drives. Get your WD Red or something like this, and they're just built different when you compare them to like consumer grade drives. I'm going to focus on the F8 SSD and the F8 SSD Plus. You can see the two right here. Difference in price is a couple $100. If you're not doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff, you're probably okay with the Intel Core N95. It's a 4-core with max burst up to 3.4, whereas the SSD Plus that I have here has an i3 N305. It's an 8-core. This is not hyper-threaded. You get 8 real cores and the max burst up to 3.8. This one comes with 16 gigabytes pre-installed, but they can both handle up to 32 gigabytes of DDR5. So this is not super slow memory. This is DDR5. They both are 8-bay, pretty much the same as it, all the way down. And we're going to use Btrfs. Good old buttery Btrfs. We can also hook up some external drives, which is handy for backups and whatnot. And they both have one 10 gigabit Ethernet port. It's going to be backwards compatible with 1 gigabit, 2.5 gigabit, or whatever. So I'm running mine at 2.5 gigabit because that's what I have wired up in my house. I don't have 10 gig E, but it's really nice to also see that it's an RJ45 10 gigabit Ethernet port. I hope we start seeing that all over the place. But yeah, if you want the maximum speed, you do have 10 gigabit Ethernet. Then we have 3 USB ports. The size is 177 by 60 by 140 millimeters, and the power supply is 72 watts. You get a 2-year warranty with this. So once I got the drives installed, it is so easy to get it up and running. You turn it on. If you don't know the IP address, you just go to their website and download the application. Just a couple clicks, it's like, oh, we got all these hard drives. We're going to set them up for you. Just click yes, and it'll do everything for you. It sets up a Btrfs file system. It sets up a volume for you and everything. So it was really easy. Now, if you want to go into the advanced options for some reason and do things differently, by all means, but Btrfs, in my opinion, is by far the best way to go, and they are using their own RAID technology. So instead of using RAID 5 or something, they are using T-RAID. And T-RAID is a beautiful thing. I wish every NAS manufacturer would do something just like this. Now, RAID 5 might be like 2% faster, but if you have a bunch of random drives, nope. T-RAID Yep. Let me tell you how this works. So you can install a whole bunch of random drives. It's going to create one big volume across them, create some redundancy to make sure that you can always swap out one drive with a new drive at any time. Not while it's running, of course, but you know what I mean? You can swap out some of the drives one at a time. And you can even swap out a small drive for a large drive, reinitialize, it'll add the larger drive. So if you wanted to upgrade in a few years, this makes it very, very future-proof. Let's say you've got like 8 1 terabyte drives, or like maybe you're like me and you've got 8 250 gigabyte drives, and you're like, I want to upgrade those to 4 terabytes each. Take out one at a time, put in a 4 terabyte, initialize, let it do its thing. Then you can go back in, take the next one out. It'll take a little bit of time, but the benefit is you don't have to like copy all of your data off onto something else. You can maintain your storage pool, you can maintain functionality, all while replacing one drive at a time. This is also great if one of the drives has a bad sector or something and you're like, I want to replace that one drive. You can upgrade that drive while you're replacing it to a better drive, and T-RAID will just take care of everything for you. So it's a beautiful thing. There's not many other companies out there other than Synology that have their own RAID technology, but that's a brilliant, beautiful thing. And I hope other companies keep doing stuff like that. So what we're going to do now is come over here. This is TOS, their operating system. This version, TOS 6, it's a lot better than the last one. So we have our little taskbar or panel up here on the top, and then we have our bar over here on the side. This is all of the stuff. I told it to add all of the things so we can see everything that's going on. Just quickly, we can see our CPU, our volume, what's going on with our memory, everything, the temperatures. See our CPU, our disk temperature, all down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going through some of this. I'm going to try to go from like basic to really nerdy. So the nerdy stuff's going to be later on in the video. Right now we're going to cover just like the basic stuff. And it's a lot to go through, so I'm not going to be able to go through everything, but I'll do what I can. All right, so when you first just click on this, you're probably going to want to create some share folders. So you click on share folders right here, and you can create your share folders. I made music, I made goods just to store random stuff on. And now, whenever we, navigate to our NAS, right here, we'll see, oh, there's our share folders. And we can just be like right click and map network drive. And that's really, really easy. So that's how we do that. The next thing I want to do is get some media folders set up. So it comes with some stuff already, but we have this little media index application. So right here we have different folders, and we can declare, hey, this is a photo folder. This is a music folder. This one has photo and video. This one's documents. So click here, add another folder. Come over here and be like, I want to add, I don't know, I've already got my photos, but just this folder. Confirm, and then say like, that's video, that's photo, whatever. Now this is going to be great because this index is going to work with other applications. They can look at this and say, oh, there's your photos. We know where they are now. It's an index so that everything else on the NAS can see where certain things reside. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look at our applications. So when we first click right here, all applications, I've installed a few different things, but this just shows you quickly all the applications you have installed. Very simple interface. Now, if you want to install some new applications, click on this little shopping bag up here, and you'll see we have a bunch of recommended apps, and this is from their official app store. And these are all just little Linux programs that are going to run on here. So I threw a whole bunch of photos into my personal photos thing. Now we have public photos and personal photos. Personal photos are based on your user account, and you can set up new user accounts and give them all permissions. It's pretty easy to do, self-explanatory. If you've ever messed with the users on Windows or Linux, you should have a good idea of how it works. But here's all our folders. I've got my photos, JPEGs, whatever. Oops, I forgot to title this one. It's just titled JPEGs. This is the Oregon coast, y'all. It's really pretty. Yeah, get a load of that. There we go. That's a better picture. Want to come hang out? I'll trade. If you're in Japan, I'll trade with you. So let's go back to our folders here. Now we have some AI stuff, they call it, but they can do facial detection, so they can like organize people and all that stuff if you enable that option. I don't take a lot of pictures of people unless they're holding delicious ice cream. Then they're going to get their picture taken. Oh God, I need to be in Japan right now. So yeah, the photo app's pretty cool. If you want to share these things, well, by all means, you can do that. Put a check mark on that one. Got our selected item. Then up here, we've got our little share button, and we can do internal sharing or external sharing, and I can send someone a link. There we go, set expiration, all that kind of stuff. Download allowed. We can send people links to stuff that they can view right on our own NAS. Now, this photo app does feel like it does feel like an app that is getting new features, if you know what I mean. Like it feels like, yeah, it's cool, but let's just see where it goes. It's very functional. It's a good way to like look through your stuff. Japan is magical, y'all. You don't even understand. Japan in the autumn. Wish I was there right now, but there's reasons why I'm not at the moment. So yeah, anyway, Photos app, works, does what it's supposed to do, and not much else. Go down here to our settings. I've got my location turned off, but I do have the AI facial recognition. So I'll have to go through and mess around with that. We can set our directory here if we want to, but it already is picking up my personal stuff right there. All right, so that's the photo app, just a quick overview. Now you're gonna need backup. So we got our cloud sync. If you wanna back up certain things to, Amazon, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, whatever, OpenDrive, you can set that up here with Cloud Sync. So that's the backup for stuff that's on the cloud. Now, if you need backup for stuff that's on your desktop, well, they have a desktop program for that, and that's right here. If you find it in here and you click download, it actually opens up a link to let you download it. So this is the TPC Backupper, yes. So I've started doing a full-on system backup. Now, this program is a paid program that has lots of free features. So I can do a system backup right here. Click my system drive or whatever, and I can do a backup. I can sync folders from my computer to my NAS, but the real-time sync is Pro. Mirrored sync is Pro. I want to say that like a lot of these features with my Synology Drive program, a lot of these features are not Pro. Like the real-time sync I can do. But then there is some stuff that may be worth paying for, like the system clone, that's Pro. I kind of want that. Like that's really cool. So if we had a few different systems, we could clone them and then restore them, if we needed to. This would also be really handy for me, this whole clone thing. When I'm always testing all these machines, a lot of times I'll test a machine that's almost the same as the previous machine, so I could just restore from a clone right there and have all my stuff set up. That would be cool. But you can see there's a lot of stuff that's Pro, but you can do a decent amount of things for free. And that's the backup that's installed on your machine to back up from your machine to the NAS. Next up, I've installed Deduplication Manager, and this is basically free real estate. I'm not going to try to explain everything. I probably could make an entire separate video on deduplication after brushing up on all the details of it myself. Moving right along here, we do have our double backup solution right here. So that's going to be cool if we want to back up our volume, and we'll do hybrid mode. Now I want to do incremental mode like every day, just back it up. And do I want to do it to NAS or remote NAS? Yeah, we can do that, or a cloud drive. So that's going to be interesting. Back it up to another NAS. We also can back up to USB. I don't have that installed because I don't have USB plugged in, but if you want to just have a USB drive back, plugged in there for backup, you can absolutely do that. Now, some of the stuff that's on here is not translated. Like I'd love to have this DDNS program right here, but not translated just yet. So we'll leave that alone for now. There's really too much. I don't want the video to be like a million years long, so I'm not going to go over everything in here. But I'll take a look at snapshots really quick. You can come in and set up snapshots so that if you have a file and you're like, whoops, I saved it, but I want the version from yesterday. Well, you can just go back in time and look at your snapshots and restore from that. You think this is the music app, right? Nope. That's how you report issues. Click here on the little headphones. I was so excited. I was like, oh, there's a music app. But no, you're going to need to install your own Navidrome or something. They do have a multimedia app, and the multimedia app lets you stream stuff from your phone. But when you click on it, it just gives you a gigantic list of all of your music. It's not really, shouldn't be a thing. Kind of works, but I don't think anyone's going to be using their little, media thing on their phone to listen to music. It's just, yeah. We got Emby, we got Plex. Where's Jellyfin? Well, that's over here in the community apps. So if you want something that's not available here, there's a pretty good chance that it's available on the community hub. Now, here's the catch. You have to make an account here. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to make an account here, unless you want to download tons of stuff really quickly. I was able to download 3 things, and then after that, it's like, oh, you got to make an account or wait 6 days. So that's kind of stupid. I don't know why we have to pay, but I only want one more thing from the community. So I'm going to wait 6 days and then I'm going to get it. And then I'm going to leave it alone and not pay. But if you're downloading stuff all the time, that's the thing is if you're downloading all kinds of stuff, you're not going to be downloading all kinds of stuff all the time. You're not always going to be adding apps, I don't think, right? So anyway, I wanted Navidrome, so I want to click on downloads too so I can find it. And there we go. The problem with Navidrome is that it requires 2. The problem with Navidrome is that Navidrome has some dependencies, so I wasn't able to download those as well. So that's kind of a bummer. Anyway, I'll get that up and running eventually. All right, I've also installed Portainer, and that's from the community. I was able to grab this and get it going. Now, note that with Portainer, it doesn't come with an environment already set up. When you click on it right here, yes, it wants me to do this. Remind me later. So when you first get into Portainer, there's no environment whatsoever. So you're going to have to come over here and go to your environments and add an environment, and then you'll have to know a little bit about what you're doing here. Should be pretty self-explanatory, but I have seen some different NASs and whatever out there that come with a version of Portainer that has environments already set up. But since this is from the community and not official, we don't get that much support. But the nice thing is, if you know what you're doing, Portainer opens up the entire universe to you, because there's a lot of apps that are here, and they've done a good job of updating this, especially from the older versions of their TOS software. But when you have Portainer or just Docker containers, the world is completely open to you. You can install anything that's a Docker container, literally anything. And there's thousands of things that you can install. If you could think about it, you can install it as a Docker container. And if you don't want to use Portainer, it does have Docker Manager, and this is an official thing. So Docker Manager will let you come in here, and you got to get your YAMLs out and all that kind of stuff and use your Docker Compose files and whatever. But you can set up containers this way, local images. You can add a registry if you want to. See, we got our Docker Hub. We can add more registries to get some more images. But again, that's beyond the scope of this video. But just know that if you know what you're doing when it comes to Docker, well, we've got Docker Manager right here, and it looks to be functional. All right, we're going to take a look through the control panel quickly. Here's our user management. Create new users, add them to user groups as well. So if you have one group of users who is allowed to listen to music but not allowed to mess with files, you can create that right here. If you need to join a domain, you can do that here. That's probably not something we need to talk about. Network settings right here, set your ports. But if you needed to set up a port or change the port for HTTP, you could do that. There's our interface options right here. And can I change this to 9000? Yeah, I can. We're going to use them jumbo packets now. Yep, there we go. Their M.2 is now 9000. So if you have a USB Wi-Fi adapter, you can use that. That's interesting. I wonder if a USB Ethernet adapter will work. And we got our proxy settings over here. With remote access, you can enable tnas.online if you want to. And a lot of NAS units have this, where you set up an account with Terramaster and then use that to log into your account remotely. I don't generally do this because, if anything was compromised, then that's a quick way to have issues. Terramaster's never had any issues, but Synology did have some issues where their stuff got compromised. So I leave it off on all my units, but if you do want the ease of use, it is here. Terminal stuff, we can allow that. Show you our storage pool manager and everything right here. There it is. Show you the disks so you can look and see how are they doing? There we go. All of our disk information right here. Their temperature, all that stuff. All right, so that's cool. We don't have Iron Wolf, we're using Western Digital. Set up virtual disks. We can manage our USB disks right here. Yeah, USB copy. I don't have it installed because I don't have a USB disk hooked up. Security here, you can set up your firewall and just how many times people can try to log in before they get kicked out, get their IP banned. And just here's our overview. There we go. So when it comes to basic functionality, speed, and ease of use, it's really good. When it comes to the nerdier stuff, like setting up Docker containers, messing with your media files and all that kind of stuff, or installing community packages or whatever, that's going to be for slightly more advanced users. And then messing with Portainer and all that kind of stuff, you're actually going to have to know what you're doing, or you're going to have to be willing to spend some time to go through some tutorials. So just the basic functionality is for anybody. And if you're in a small office and you need to get this thing set up, and you need some shares for everyone in the office, and you need to have some shared space or whatever, it's fine for that. So the software is much better than it was before. There are still some better bits of software out there on the market, but it is going in the right direction, and I think it's really, really usable. And I really like their RAID solution. So T-RAID is awesome. So that, combined with the size, the features, the specs, while some brands, I use Synology a lot, I don't want to mention them a lot, while some brands like that, they do have really, really, really nice software. But the thing for the money, in my opinion, is their hardware is not as competitive. Like with this, you're getting much fancier hardware, faster CPU, much faster RAM, with more RAM. They're giving you much better hardware. It's really going to feel snappy. So I do like what TerraStation has done here. I like their NAS software, depending on your needs, we'll put it that way, can be really, really good. Love their RAID solution, and I think it's a very solid unit. So again, this is the TerraStation F8 SSD Plus with 8 of those fancy Western Digital red 250 gigabyte M.2 NVMe SSDs. It's been fun playing with this, but now I think it's time to go have some cake or something, I don't know. While you're online, be sure to head over to epicpants.com and get yourself something awesome, because you deserve it. Like this beautiful white mouse. I don't have too many of these left. I love the way this looks. It's got a glossy feel on the outside as well, and a flawless infrared sensor. So head over to epicpants.com, get you one of those, I don't know, get you a mouse pad while they're half price, why don't you? And I'll see you in the comments.